Hello one and all, this is Hybridsteel. Thank you very much for joining me in today's Hydroneer video. So today we're doing a Pimp My Plot. If you guys don't know what this is, I've done a few of these now where basically some people send me their builds and go, can you help me please, because I've I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I need help just to get them past that point of just being, well, stuck, let's put it that way. So today's build, and I'm not going to basically say names because I never do, it's just basically common courtesy. I don't really want these people to go, oh well, he's picking on me, yeah. But if you are the person that I'm doing this for, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look around first, and obviously we've got a little bit of work here to do with the power lines. So I've got a couple of requests from this person. He wanted a couple of things that he misses having. Basically what I'd already done is I've gone through a couple of things with him. And so I had to revert the save because, in fairness, the things that I'm looking at the moment, this is like how it was before I started messing with it. Anyway, apart from I expanded the side panel. The reason why is because I think he wants. I know he wants some sort of way of rejigging the dirt. So obviously dirt makes its way out of the harvester when you're breaking down lots and lots of dirt all in one. Small particles go somewhere. Got to find a way of getting the dirt from here up above the harvester again, just in case. So yeah, we'll figure out a little way of doing that as well. So I opened up this whole thing with explosives just because it gives us a little bit of extra light. It gives us a way of like moving around without being too cramped against walls. And obviously you can see these like jump bits of dirt everywhere. So yeah, we've definitely got our work cut out for us on this one. I know he's having problems with the grinders, where obviously because the grinders, when they grind down, they do shuffle dirt through. And as you can see, there's just bits through the actual, and there's bits on the floor as well. So the idea would be to try and make a funnel system where he can transport the dirt back up. I mean, he's already got a conveyor belt down here, albeit a little bit messy. We can try and optimize this a little bit, I suppose, but I think he wants the fundamentals kept of what he has. It's just all good. So he has a couple of things he was missing: a valve to turn off the drills. Okay, we can do that. That's not too difficult. A way to get the dirt from the bottom to the top. Okay, gaps between the sorters. Sorters. So he's got, if we go up to the sorter area, which is here, he's got no gaps between. When you're going at high clout and you're bringing out loads of stuff, you're going to have bits flying around here and not quite getting into the funnels and so on and so forth. So we'll have to figure that out as well, and that's okay. Okay. Now I don't want to get rid of his gems or stuff that he's like produced. So let's empty these out and let's just stack them over here for him. Because I'm going to be moving all this around. I don't want to accidentally delete an entire furnace full of stuff. So yeah, just in case I do remove things. First off, let's get rid of these panels, because the panels are only here because he was having issues keeping things in the sorters. Because when you put your sorters next to each other, they tend to like mess up a bit, where it goes one way and then it's like, oh no, it's bad. So I'll set this my way. I'll set this the way that I would do it. If he wants to change it, that's up to him. I'm just going to do it so it's set up the way that I would set it up. Right, I'd put clout in between just because I can. Okay, awesome. Right, so that's set up the way that I would do it. Let's put a floor underneath here. So what we will do is, just in case dirt makes it through the system, the conveyor belt, I'm sort of thinking, I'm probably going to put it up over here. Now, I think that's what this sort of was in the first place, but I want the conveyor belt to run over the top of the harvester so it drops straight in as well. So the dirt is just constant on cycle until it finishes. So we'll probably run it across here and we'll run it just over the harvester here. And then it can just transfer around. As said, it's an idea of a plan. I know he's got Goliaths here, so we'll try and work it. It's either going to be this side, or I'm going to sort of drag it under here and up and over. So it's one of those ideas that I've got to try and put into. Right. An easy way to move about downstairs with the pipes at waist level is a pain. Yeah, so okay, what we can do with that then is a bit. with pipes like this, you're using up more water pressure to mess around with this. So I think what we'd need to do is we need to find a way of turning the water pipes. I think I've already come up with a way. I suppose one thing we could do is we could turn all the pipes on the end. We could turn the Davids inside. So instead of them facing like this, we would have the intakes on the inside. And then we could just shuffle them like that, and then they would literally just be running on one pipeline. Okay, so we're just coming up to doing the finishing touches to his David section. Obviously, this is where he wants the other side to be like. So that's why I left the other side. That's why I left the piping the way it was over there. Because at the end of the day, if he wants to expand into that, he can. It's all you have to do is literally just change things around. Well, you don't even have to change things around. It's literally just add a few pipes and people are happy. That's all that needs to be done over there. What I'm doing here now is I'm finishing up the actual David line. Now I don't know if anybody else actually thinks like this, where they can use like all of these together with just using one pipe. Anyways, let's get rid of that one. Let's take that. What's that in? Okay, so the next thing I need to do, and this is boring. This next bit I'm doing is utter boring. We're going to put windows across the whole of this belt. Even if I'm going to change things up for him, I still need to do this. The reason why is because you don't want bits falling down. Okay? So, the reason why I use windows, and I'll explain this now. Windows have 4 straight edges, no gaps, no nothing. So when you use them on a build, they literally cover every gap that you can think of. So when it comes to the barriers, with the barriers, you've got this gap underneath the belt, which if you're dealing with very small particles of dirt can still come off this. These are okay. If you're using ram drills, they can fire through the hole if they're at this sort of level. But because of that gap, things can get stuck. Now, when you use a set of vertical ones, which is these ones, you've got this gap here, and that can cause problems as well, which is why I don't use barriers. I mean, they're good if you're just using them for dirt of a certain size. So when I say you're looking at things like the dirt that comes off of a Goliath, or the dirt that comes off of a ram drill. That's when you can use barriers and be happy. But when you're looking at processing dirt down to tiny, using windows is the best way forward. And the reason why I'm gonna live with this until I stop playing this game. Until I stop helping people with this game. That for me, the window is probably one of the greatest tools you're ever going to use to stop your builds leaking anywhere. The only major problem with this is the harvester, because the harvester does get overwhelmed, does drop bits of dirt down, which is a bit of a bummer. I suppose if we can grind down the dirt good enough, then we don't have to worry about anything here. But you need a little catchment area underneath. We'll have a ponder about that. I'm gonna put in a couple of belts around this, so we're gonna actually be running like three sets of conveyor belts here, and I'm gonna filter them all up onto the top of here. And what's going to happen is that's going to take in all the dirt that's going to be sort of like coming off the harvester. I'm probably going to try and add I'm going to try and make a little funnel, so that's where it all's going to go. And then from there, it's all going to come out over here. And then from here, we're going to run a conveyor belt. I need the conveyor belt to get to here. So it's going to go up a little bit and it's going to come across, and that'll just filter dirt back into the harvester. Now I know that the splash range, and I say splash range, is about 3 squared around a harvester's joint. So what we need to do is we need to work this in. Right, cool. Then we'll have to bring these up here. I'm going to bring the centralizers up to here, and then I'm going to need to think about which one I'm doing. So I think we get to. Right, so that's what we can do this point here. I'll come back to the things I'll put across the corners maybe. Then, yeah, well, that's what we could do is drop. It's not quite there. Okay, I think. There we go. Right, brain is working just a little bit on this. So, what we have here is basically it's going to be running very small chunks of dirt over this section here. I need windows. And when I say that, I mean this is going to be ridiculous, all right? Right, so this back. Right. Now we're down to the piping areas. And what we want to do first off is we need to join these pipes here, because we need to bring those into one line, so you can just he can turn them all off on one go and still have enough piping to get himself back here and be able to turn that pipe off whilst running the pipe. All right, so what I need to do is okay, so after we've faffed around with this build for, I'm going to be honest, this took around 2 hours. Now it's time to do the little tour to show you everything we did within this build to make it as optimized and to work it as best as possible. What we did is, after the valve, from this point on, any build becomes the most important part about your builds. So we're going to run through this build now and I'll show you what I've done. Starting from the valve, we come down, we go through our 5 filters. You have 5 filters, and then we leave a spacer. The reason why I always leave a spacer here is just in case you want to come off and you want to put something here, or you want to make a little build or that sort of thing, just to really sort of give you a little bit of freedom on your pipe work. Okay, then, I mean, you could put 2 in, you could split it either way, it doesn't really matter. But after that, what we've done is we've gone 4 chambers, and the reason why we put 4 chambers here is because we couldn't do it over there, because that means floating. So we put 4 chambers in here, and then we've moved the pipe out so it actually clips the side of the cliff instead of going round and round. We've also got our little pipe that goes all the way out over there, and there's a valve over there so he can turn his water on and off when he wants to fill up his truck. Then we follow the pipe down. Now don't forget, there used to be 2 pipes up there. 2. So now we've condensed all of his running pipe into one pipe work. And this pipe work comes down here and it splits into this T-pipe, which splits into this T-pipe. One of his requests was right at the beginning when I said he had a couple of requests to do. One of them was to turn the Goliaths off either side of his build by just using valves. So either side of the T-pipe we put 2 valves in. This set of chambers over here, the top line supports the entire top row of his Goliath build here, and this row of chambers, these support the bottom row of his entire side. And it's the same over here. You go past the valve, go around, and you've seen the 2 rows. This row supports the top, this row supports the bottom. It's all good. Alright, we didn't really touch much of his conveyor belt because, in fairness, he had a plan for his conveyor belt. He just wanted it to stay the way it was, and this is because he wanted to break down the dirt to get to the harvester, so optimizing the amount of money. Now, he did this after he watched one of my videos, and he sort of incorporated it into his own build, which is why he's got so many grinders all in one spot. It's to just break down the dirt enough to get through the whole thing. After we've gone through the conveyor belt and we've sorted out all of his machines up here to make sure they're all plugged in and working properly, we went down. So we took a T-pipe into the build so we can go down a bit further and show you this. So as we've come down here, this looks a little bit like a hodgepodge, you know, it's a little bit messy, but this is the best we could do when it comes to like being as straight as we possibly can from here. So we come down here and we've looped it into another T-pipe. This T-pipe splits off to the main run that goes down to the other end of the build, and then it was this one that comes down and splits into 2 again. So these 4 chambers run every single one of his Davids. Now, I don't think I've seen many people, if any, in all fairness, running their Davids like this, where you literally just use one pipe to do the whole lot. I don't think I've seen many people do it. Like I said, I don't think I've seen anybody do it, but here's an idea for you. If you're doing the staggered approach of like Goliaths, where you got one behind and one in front, and then one in behind and one in front, and they're all at different paces, link them like this, because if you can build it like this, 1, you're using less pipes, and number 2, you got access to just put a shard in every single one of them without having to jump over a pipe and stick it in and then mess. And you know, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of messing around. So yeah, if you can daisy chain your Davids like this, it saves a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of piping as well. And all of this can now be run off of one set of chambers. So all of that just basically runs water pressure the whole way through. All good. His other side we split off, and then we went down. The reason why we went down is because he basically told me that he didn't like a lot of pipes being at like waist level, because you have to keep jumping over them to get around, and sometimes they're a bit like clumsy. And so what I did was his entire sides, when it comes to the Davids, are like the pipes are at waist height. Now the reason why I did it at waist height is because where this natural divide is in the cliff face, not the archway, because I created the arch, but this natural is literally how much room he had either side of his build, because this was the edge of his build. So I extended this with explosives, which you can get with the Hydroneer mods. I'll put a link in the description box below for the for Bridgeport and the Discord. But you can get this mod as well, and it basically creates an explosion where it creates like a really big open cave. Obviously I've used quite a few of them to get to the back, as you can see by the ridges, but it opens up the cave. It gives it a bit more like character. Also gives him the room he can use to run around, so he can run straight down the middle here and put in his shards into his Davids, and he can run down the side here where I put the pipe into the ground, and he can just have free access all the way to the top. Now you've got this little sorting area here. I'm going to be honest, this was I didn't think about this until like later on, as you can see into the video. But first off, what he had these two mass conveyor belts running down each side and trying to keep all the dirt onto his conveyor belt, so it would just keep rotating and converting. And that was a lot of pipe work and a lot of messing around. So I took all of this out, converted it into this pipe, which is head height, which means he doesn't have to keep jumping over it. It's all good. And so what I've done here is I've taken his idea, which is he said to me he wanted a way of rotating the dirt so it would feed back into the harvester to keep this going. So what I did was I created this. This is like a conveyor belt catching area where the dirt's going to come off the harvester, because he's not using a funnel, because he gets mixtures between big boulders and small bits and so on and so forth. Any small bit that misses the harvester and lands on the floor as normal will now run on this conveyor belt, and it will run the conveyor belt up until this point. And it will grind through here. If anything falls down that's too big, it will grind through here, and it will run the conveyor belt along with the gems and all the other bits and pieces that we get in our system. Now, dirt now filters out the back end of his build, which means the dirt comes out this end, and it will follow this conveyor belt until we get to the top, and it will feed straight back into the harvester. Now, if you are getting like bigger chunks through, which you shouldn't be, because big chunks won't fall through the gap of a harvester, the best thing you could do is to literally just add a few grinders along the way, and it'll start breaking down a lot more. But yeah, that's literally how it is. So I took apart all of it, and I found all this stuff just laying around as well. Like, we've got weapon racks of magnets and bits and pieces. We've still got stuff that he's forged down here and not taken to a shop. He's got gems. This was the stuff I took out of his build before I took it all apart. And we found all these pans as well, and all these pallets, and yeah, there's enough down here to build like a really cool base as well. So I hope you guys sort of like, you take this as ideas of things you can do as well. So thank you very much for joining me. This has been Hybridsteel. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and notification button below for all other updates. I'll be back with a brand new video, live stream, or whatever else I do on this channel. So thank you very much for joining me. Bye bye for now.